You're welcome back to Morning Express. Now let's have our next guest join us virtually, Mr. Ayola, who is a public affairs analyst and also a regular on the program. A very good morning to you, Mr. Ayola. Thank you so much for finding the time to join us on the show.
Thanks for the opportunity to air my view.
We hear that the South is topping the list of, this pre-registration, while the northern part of the country rallies voters and tries to encourage individuals living in different regions of the north, the northwest, the northeast, and the north central to also register ahead of the 2027 general elections. Why do you think there is a surge in pre-registration in the south more than the north?
One of the things I think the voters' registration in the south is more than that of the north. It's very simple. Number one is I think it's a sense of belonging. Number two is awareness. There is more awareness now than it used to be. Remember, there was this agitation, there was this protest here and there during the aftermath of the general election. We were saying it was Peter Obi. Others were saying we no go gree. But there were also others who say neither this nor that. We want a northern president, and so on. So awareness has been there in the north, so much so that even underage, we have cases of underage voters. It has been on over the years, and I think they deemed it fit now for everyone to have a say in the next general election. There is this more awareness ongoing in the southern Nigeria, owing to preparation towards the 2027 general election. There are so many people who didn't bother themselves in the past, who are only inclined to their businesses, who have now noticed that there is no business without politics, and there can't be politics without business. So the southern Nigerians, people have more awareness now than before. Some were registered, they couldn't find their voters card. Some want to register, I want to vote this time. They were never registered. But this time, they are taking the bull by the horn. And that is why you have such. In the north, the awareness has been there. They have already have enough registered voters. So except for those who are, clinching to the level where constitutionally is allowed, but to those who were 70 years before, who are now 18 or 20 as the case may be, also as it may happen in the southern Nigeria. So it's because of the awareness and sense of belonging.
There was a decision to zone the presidency to the south. While on the other hand, the All Progressives Congress said that the presidential ticket will be thrown openly to all regions of the country, and that every single member of the party or any member of the party is allowed to vie for the highest position in the country. But the party is throwing its weight behind the re-election bid of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Could this be related to why there is a certain surge to, of the pre-voter registration exercise in the South? And also in the North, do you see an underperformance come 2027 from the northern part of the country? Should they field candidates ahead of the elections or in the elections?
Yeah, in election, every political party member should be allowed to participate fully. In its full sense of responsibility, every member of the party should be allowed to participate in the presidential primaries. And if they are throwing their weight behind President Ahmed Bola Tinubu, that is by the way. I can assure you the political party will still sell nomination forms to candidates who have interest to contest. That is politics, by the way. So I don't think that is any way affecting the participation of other members. Now, if it will affect their bid or not, or maybe their support from the northern Nigeria or not, it is until the primaries are conducted. The sitting president, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is interested, you know. There are also other political, you know that even the APC, as we speak, is divided among itself, owing to the interest by some of the members of the party who want to contest, who feels that it is also their turn. You know, they feel disgruntled, they feel the president is not doing well. So until the primaries are conducted and until the one who wins the primaries is able to galvanize all other interest groups in the north, that is, if he is able to do that, until then he will know whether he will have support from the north. Normally, when an individual is featured to participate, what he does, he takes a stronger candidate from the north. If the president is coming from the south, he takes a stronger candidate. If he feels Shetima, for example, is not performing well, he may decide to say, okay, let me pick another person who I feel maybe from the advice of the political party feel will perform better. And of course, if the party feels that Shetima is doing well, and then they ask him to continue, and then you see the kind of support that the president will now begin to have from the north. So as we speak, 2027 is still pregnant, owing to the fact that we don't have a candidate yet. The president knows very well that if he does not contest in the primary of his political party, he is not yet a candidate. And if other people are not allowed to contest, then there is also a problem. It will lead to litigation and so many political quagmire. And I think the president will want to avoid all of that. So he will give a level playing ground for all to participate so that he can have, or whoever becomes the candidate of the party, will have support from the northern part of Nigeria. So as we speak, the antics, the plans, and whatever it is still pregnant as we look forward to 2027 general election.
Well, Comrade Ayula, some northern governors and, of course, political parties and even groups have unveiled certain campaigns they say is designed to close widening regional voters gap in the north. In the 2027 general elections, do you see the north performing outstandingly well, like it has always done?
If they are performing very well in the past, we won't be talking about the crimes in the north. If they are performing very well now, we won't be talking about crimes in the north. But the fact is, we encourage all the northern governors to perform very well because the rate of crime in the north is still very high, and it has to do with poverty, It has to do with literacy. It has to do with unemployment in the north, and it has to do with provision of infrastructures in the north. You agree with me? Over the years, the governors in the north, if you are in this country over the years, especially when Wike was governor of Rivers, I watch his program almost every Monday, inviting governors from the north to commission, projects in Rivers almost every Monday. And the question is, these governors that are coming to commission this project in the southern Nigeria, when they go back, how do they feel? Are you doing the same thing in your state? Even if you are not receiving almost the same allocation from the federal government as Rivers, what have you been able to achieve with the one you received? That's the question. You see, constructing a bridge in the southern Nigeria, especially south Nigeria, a bridge that takes 1 kilometer, constructing it is about 10 times the cost of constructing same bridge in the north because of the water lodge in the area. Now the question is, what have these people been able to do to attract their followers in businesses, in education, in investment within the state, and what is happening compared to southern Nigeria? I tell you, you cannot, it's incomparable when you talk about state in the north and state in the southern Nigeria. The same governors, the same portfolios, the same allocations, and then the performance in the southern Nigeria are more visible than it obtains in the north. So your question is, I want to say that the governors in the north have not performed very well in the past, in the present, and so on. Let them do better, because somehow it translates to, voters' apathy. Somehow it translates to voting. It translates to the number of votes individuals receive due to perceived performance by the governor. The governors are in charge of the states. During general elections of votes are cast from the state and from the local government areas, and they are being collated that give rise to the number of the votes that individual presidential candidate will have at the end of the day.
Now, some people are of the opinion, Comrade Ayola, some people are of the opinion that the reason why there's this massive surge in voter registration, especially in the in the southwestern part of the country, Lagos or Ogun State and Oyo State as well, about 3.5 million people have registered already in just a couple of weeks, is the fact that the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is doing tremendously well, in terms of capital infrastructure projects, and that they would want a re-election of the president and a continuation of that goodwill and dividends of democracy that they have been enjoying. Is this correct?
They say to whom much is given, much is expected. The president is doing well. The southern Nigeria, what do you expect? And don't forget, the president is from the southwest. So what do you expect? So if he's doing well for his people will want him to be in power. Because any attempt to bring him down will amount to candidate from other parts of the region to clinch to the office of the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So his being there is also an advantage for the Southwest. That's number one. Number two is that if he's doing well, they expect him to do more. And of course, the president, like I've said before here on this station, is the first time since 1999 that we have a president who does not have a godfather. We also have a president who many times if not all times, feels he should be allowed to decide, because at the end of the day, it will be the government of Tinubu, not the government of other persons. So he is a careful person, he is meticulous, he's hardworking, even upon his age, he's doing tremendously well. Infrastructure and other things are put in place, student loan, and so many other policies he's bringing on board. It's a good one, and I think if the Southwest the Southwest people are giving him support, I think it's in order. Of course, any region will want to support their own son who is in power, especially those that are doing very well.
Comrade Ayula, while we commend President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for his giant strides in the southern part of the country, particularly the southwest, you will agree with me that the northern part of the country is somewhat aggrieved, especially over this administration's handling of matters of insecurity in the north. The Northern Elders Forum has spoken out. The Arewa Consultative Forum has spoken out. Some youths in Sokoto State had recently come out to state that if the government is not willing to provide them with security, they are willing to pick up arms in order to protect themselves. There is a systemic issue of insecurity in the northern part of the country. How can the government of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu deal with this matter in order to salvage it and also win the hearts of the north ahead of the 2027 polls, much like it has done with the south?
Thank you very much. In my place where I grew up, security is seen as everybody's business. The president cannot be everywhere. So is it now they are realizing that it is their responsibility to secure the environment? Or do they think that the president will not agree with them if the youth say, we want to protect our community? The president will support them, of course. And that is what happens in southern Nigeria. We don't protect thieves. We don't protect terrorists. We bring them out. We push them out. As a matter of fact, a family member who participated in criminal activities in southern Nigeria, if noticed, the parent first will go and report such individual to the police. Does that happen in other places? So it goes to tell you that it means they were careless about the insecurity that was happening in their environment. Now they are waking up. Let me tell you, a few days ago, I have a family member who was traveling to Sokoto. On getting to about 10 kilometers to Sokoto, they were asked to stop because it was already 6 o'clock in the evening. And so you cannot enter into Sokoto. Between Sokoto and Zamfara, it's about 215 kilometers. It's the road I know very well. It's about 215 kilometers. Now, you cannot come out of Sokoto to Gusau. You cannot come out of Gusau to Sokoto once it is 6 p.m. That is the insecurity we are talking about. So it goes beyond the security officers. The people, the community people, the vigilante, the youth should take the responsibility of protecting first their community. The security officers will just come and support them. This is what I understand. This is what I know about securing a community where it has to do with bandits, armed robbery, terrorists of any magnitude. The people should be responsible for protecting their community. If they have not been doing that, we support their call to start it. Whatever thing they do to protect their community will attract a lot of support from all corners of this country. They should go ahead. And I'm very sure, I'm not holding brief for the president. I'm not holding brief for the office of the chief of defense staff or and so on. But I think even if the army has to come, they will ask the people, where are the people? Who are the people that are fomenting this trouble? They ask questions. If you don't come out to tell them and point out the places and the people, you are afraid, you are trying to, because the person is your brother, your community members, your community people are involved, you don't want to expose them, then you are doing more harm to yourself. Expose these people, bring them to book, let them be dealt with, and then you have peace, a long-lasting peace, and there can be no development without peace. Some of the problem we have in the north today is owed to the insecurity in the north. You go
Now,
to
Comrade
places
Ayola,
like
so we don't digress too much, let's stick to the voter registration exercise. Before we move on to another matter, I just want to get your final take on this. Ahead of the 2027 general polls, what do you see happening? Do you see a large voter turnout, especially with the massive surge in voter registration? Do you see voter apathy? And perhaps a possible prediction of the 2027 general polls would be much appreciated.
I see more voters apathy come to bear, and more participation than what happened in 2023. I also foresee a lot of vote protection in all the polling units. The security needed to be prepared, because there's going to be more, protection of the ballot boxes, so that nobody will come and rewrite result. There will be a lot of participation this time. This time, people will not just vote and go home. They want to vote, record, and write the voting number for the various polling units, because a lot of people are complaining about what happened during the last election. They don't want to take chance anymore. That is a more reason why you see that awareness. People will not just participate in the voting alone this time. They will ensure that their votes are protected, and people will not, change their vote for another person. I think that awareness is very strong, and the security must be beefed up in all the polling units in order to foster peace, so that we will not be plunged into a state of anarchy at the end of the day. I think, like you said, there will be more participation this time than ever.
All right, Comrade Ayula, let's move on to yet another matter in the news. Now, this time around, it is with regards to a UTME scandal, where the Joint Admissions and Matriculations Board panel had recently uncovered about 4,251 fingerprint manipulations and 190 artificial intelligence cheats in the last examinations. How do you react to this systemic problem bedeviling Nigeria's educational sector, especially in respect to JAMB?
I see JAMB as a gateway to uh, admissions into our universities. And JAMB has not done enough to get people of character, people who have fear of God, to bear on the handling of the registration. And that is why you see what is happening here and there. My question is, the people the banks use, the computer gurus that the banks use to protect your money and my money in the bank, where when you receive money, you receive when somebody pay money into your account, you receive a lot. Somebody pay salary into my account, for instance, I receive alert. And if I debit the account, there will be this minus. And it is very precise, without any error. There are people who does this. They have programmed it. They have done it in such a way to guide against any manipulation. The bank are able to achieve this. And that is why your money is safe in the bank. So why couldn't the same thing happen in the JAMB? Bringing to bear people that have character, people that have fear of God, people that are trustworthy, honest people, as they do in the bank, into the JAMB, in order to have a trustworthy program where it will be free of manipulation, free of any form, of changes, where AI will not have any role to play there, or individuals who want to manipulate will not have anything to do, but it's in such a way where it will be secured. The money is there. The federal government could pay more than even the bank who pays those people who does it for them. Why couldn't they do it? Fingerprint is fingerprint. Fingerprint is not something you can manipulate. My own fingerprint can never be the same fingerprint with another person, no matter what happened. Couldn't that interplay anymore? Does that not happen anymore? Are people beginning to manipulate fingerprint and so on? So I think JAMB has a responsibility of protecting the registration of the candidate of those who goes to our university without any manipulation. Whatever has happened, the JAMB officials should hide their face in shame and come out with something more stronger that individuals will not be able to manipulate. We need solutions and not talk. We need actions. We don't need all of this, blaming that, AI. You should have awareness what to do. Our AIs are there. What's happened to our money in the bank? Why were our money
But
so
even the banks use systems that are backed by artificial intelligence to ensure the protection of their systems and a foolproof security system. Now, if you recall, sometime last month there was an issue with WAEC, where there was a glitch, a system glitch that led to students getting wrong results and all of that. It even led to, we had a case of a certain student who committed suicide due to the results that they got from WAEC. Now, WAEC had to temporarily withdraw the 2025 results over these technical glitches, and also apologized after facing a lot of backlash. While on one hand we had that issue with WAEC, this time around it is with JAMB. Our education system, or the systems around our education sector, seem to be a little bit too loose and not really up to standard. How can this issue be addressed? Because at the end of the day, the use of artificial intelligence, the use of modern technology is something that cannot be done without. But how can it be used in order to make these processes seamless?
Yeah, I think JAMB should learn their lessons from WAEC. The system is so porous that by this time they should realize that it needs to be securely, guided. For want of what has happened, one of the things they must do is to see how they can train their officials and retrain them. If those who were trained doesn't know what they are doing, they should be retrained. And sometimes they should get consultants. Even if you are hiring people to man this project, this program, you need an insider who have keys, because in every program there must be a password. So, and that password must be highly secured. Is there directors in these offices? What is their policy in this office? Has anybody tried to, to manipulate things there because you want to favor a particular individual and forgot to, tighten it back, as the case may be? Let me use that balance. So there are so many things that leads to, porosity when it comes to programming. When you're not careful, you are distracted, and sometimes you just feel everything is okay. You make mistake, and you try to shift blames. These are some of the things they need to do. Training and retraining for the officials of the youth of the JAMB, and also to ensure that over time they try to carry out analysis, checkmate what you have done. Before you even publish, have you been able to go back to check what you have done? Look at the death of that young guy. Possibly he would have performed very well. He knew he performed very well. But what he got was not his result. We have seen cases like that. Somebody who didn't know how to read and write. NECO given A in 9 places. This is something I know. I have seen it. I saw the result myself. Doesn't know how to read and write. He sat for himself. That was years back, about 10, 15 years ago. Saw that result. I was shocked. He could not even further his education because what will he go and do? At that time, he would be left for her to carry on all by herself. So that was the result she got. But the question is, this porosity should be checkmate. What do you do to, to remove all of that mistakes that would lead to manipulation at the end of the day before you publish your result? Have you back-end check? Have you done the back-end check? Is this correct? Take samples, check to and fro, and examine whether this is true result of what you have. So over this, I think further examinations by JAMB or WAEC, I think will be better if they are able to take note of all of this and do something about it.
Now let's talk about the recent debate in the news about the threshold for age restrictions. How old should students be to be able to sit for JAMB examinations and take the UTME into tertiary institutions. Now, the Ministry of Education had pegged it at 16 years and above, which was even a issue of debate before it was later agreed upon. However, some parents are of the opinion that if their words or their children are gifted or intelligent enough to sit for WAEC before the age of 16, they should be allowed admission into these tertiary institutions. Let me get your position on this before we move on to another discuss.
The WAEC has the responsibility of, establishing their policies, and 16 years is not bad. But there are universities who will not admit candidates below the age of 18. So if WAEC says 16 years, and such university says 18 years before you get entry, and by the time the person writes at the age of 16, that means he has to wait for a year or two to be admitted into such university. So the Minister of Education should come up with an overruling, policy where all institutions like JAMB, WAEC, universities will have a single, requirement as it regards to age, so that the children will not be stranded waiting for admissions because of their years. Because in the exams, in the admission, they will ask them their age. That is one. Another thing that we should consider is that education is whose responsibility? Because it looks like the individual organizations or institutions have their policies that are contradicting one to another. So let them have a single policy requirement for admission as it regards to the number of credits, the number of years the individual should be. All the requirements should be in a single profile, so that what obtains also in the West, same as what obtains in the North, same as South-South, Southeast, Northeast, Northwest, and so on. We are in the same country. Requirements should be the same. The requirements should be the same so that the individual candidate will have, enough options to choose from the institutions he or she wants to attend. I think they should go back to the drawing board and nip it in the bud before it generates into troubles in the future. Because what is happening now is highly unacceptable.
Well, Comrade Ayula, we have about 5 minutes to wrap up this discussion on the program. Another sector that has had its own share of issues in the country is the telecom sector. Now, on the front page of The Guardian this morning, I would want us to take a look at it together so that you can get better insight into what this discourse is all about. On the front page of The Guardian, a headline there says, How Japa Vandals, Investor Fatigue Keep Telecom Services Below Par. Now, this is closely followed by an infographics on the front page of The Guardian. Telco's biggest pain points in 2025. I will take it one after the other. Shortage, dearth of skilled professionals. 500 software engineers and 2,000 other trained specialists have left the country since 2022. And of course, you'd also have vandalism and theft of telecom infrastructure. MTN claimed it suffered over 5,400 fiber cuts in the last 7 months, while others reported 1,100 fiber cuts, 545 access denials, and 99 theft incidents. Drop in FDIs, that's foreign direct investments, investment inflow to the sector down by 54% in the last 10 years. Multiple taxation, operators complain of about 54 taxes and levies from the 3 tiers of government. And lastly, persistent drop in telephone service quality. Comrade Ayola, it seems that the telecom industry, like I mentioned, has had its own fair share of troubles, but yet again, we're seeing a barrage of problems that are keeping the telecom services below par in relation or in comparison to other countries of the world.
Yes, anybody who invests want to get returns.
Yeah.
Telecom is an investment of some group of persons, and I don't think they are getting their profits. They are getting their from all indications. The exchange rate has a role to play there. Are they meeting up? The capacity to obtain the customers that they have, are they able? There are some people who have not bought data or bought airtime. They only carry their phone to receive calls, owing to the fact that they don't have the money. The purchasing power has gone down. So you cannot blame the individual organizations who are, their performance has become so very low because the customers are not patronizing them. It affects other aspects, other businesses, the inability to actually purchase or to actually, get the products on sale has become very, very low because of the economic situation all over the world, especially Nigeria. The ability to purchase, to buy, to procure has reduced abysmally. So it has affected purchasing power, not only in the telecom industry, it cuts across almost all the sectors of the economy. So telecom is one.
Well, in terms of data services, more and more Nigerians are gradually tilting towards the use of service providers like Starlink and the rest, citing that they are more reliable and even though more expensive, but you get value for your money rather than our own local service providers here in the country. How do we salvage the situation and ensure that our local service providers are brought to par with the likes of Starlink, so that the entire sector isn't entirely shut down?
Come again.
I'm talking about in terms of tax waivers and the rest, because part of the concerns that they had raised here is multiple taxation. These operators particularly complain that in a year they pay about 54 taxes and 3 levies from all 3 tiers of government. It's quite concerning for any business venture.
I can barely hear you. I'm sorry.
But did you get my question?
No, no, not at all. Can you take?
I was talking about Nigerians tilting towards the likes of Starlink for internet services. How do we salvage our own local service providers to ensure that the entire industry or sector is not shut down? They complained about taxes and levies up to about 54 in number that they have to pay annually to all 3 tiers of government.
Okay, if I hear you clearly, you're talking about internet providers.
Exactly.
To keep them afloat.
To keep them afloat, because Nigerians are now moving away from their services and going and turning to Starlink and the rest.
Yeah, to keep them afloat, to see how they can, put in more efforts to establishing more centers and connectivity where they can have more customers come on board, and to also strengthen their connectivity. Most time, often than not, you will buy your data. At the end of the day, you will not enjoy the network for which you want to use the data for. That has become a very big problem. At times, when you get your connectivity, you get your data, you may be out of network for some minutes and to be reconnected back again. And you see the cost per second or per minute has been increased, and by the time you ask, when you complain, they will tell you the cost of gas and electricity, power, procurement, and all of that has made them to increase. So, and also the foreign exchange, all of that has led to the issues that has translated to, the poor connectivity we have been having over the time. But no customer will want to listen to that. Everybody is looking for solution. They should go back to their drawing board and see how best they can do to keep, providing their services, and then also increase their customers. I think the government also has a role to play there by encouraging the investors, if possible, sell diesels or whatever they use to power their network, at a subsidized rate, where the citizenry will also enjoy the benefit of having to be on the net, because almost every facet, every sectors now need connectivity, and there can be no connectivity except we have the service providers. And if the service providers must give you the service, they must have the capacity to be able to stay on the line without any disruption. So the individual organization have a role to play, the government have a role to play, and so on. And that is my take.
Well, I was talking about the tax waivers. Is there a possibility of offering tax waivers to these companies?
Thank you very much. The overtaxation on the telecommunication industry by the government has to be checkmate, because whether the government likes it or not, the tax are being transferred to the individual customers. The service providers are only middlemen when it comes to overtaxation this time. Of course, every businessman, every investor want to always be making money, to always make profit and so on. He will not bear the tax and then affect his profit. So I think the government should look into it, checkmate it. Why are we overtaxing these telecommunication industries? What can we do so that the average Nigerians will have access to connectivity services? If they are being overtaxed, why are they being overtaxed? Let them check. And the organizations who are complaining, have they been able to ask other organizations? What have they said? Are they saying the same thing? It could be, for example, MTN is complaining about overtaxation, and Airtel is not doing the same thing, or Glo the same thing. Also, there is this cross-examination, as in the case they happen in court. You ask, invite these people, what can we do to have a lasting solution? I think the Ministry of Communication should invite, and then invite the investors, and then see what they can do to reduce the tax. Because whether the government like it or not, like I said, it will be transferred to the customers. They will not bring out the money from their pocket and pay. If you overtax them, they will shift it to customers. Now, if you want to check your balance now, your service provider will charge you. I don't know if you're aware of that. Your service
Well, I am
provider
aware
will
of
charge
that.
you. It was not so before. You are only on the line. You are only connected. You want to check your balance in the bank. You just go straight and type. The bank will give you. But now, your service provider will charge you for checking your balance. It was not so before. So you can see how they are trying to recoup their money due to overtaxation from government. Whether
All
the
right,
government like
Comrade
it or
Ayula,
not.
a fine place to leave the conversation. I wish we had more time to talk about this, but we must end the discuss right now. It's been a pleasure having this talk with you. Hoping to have you join us again, perhaps in the studio here next time.
Thank you so very much. It's a pleasure.